Until the 1st of February, I'm excited to be partnering with HelloFresh UK. Get money off fresh meal kits delivered to your door by using the discount link or the checkout code in the description below. Get 50% off your first box and 35% off the following 3, as well as 3 free gifts. If you want to see more from HelloFresh UK, then check out my social medias where I've been sharing my meals the last few weeks. And what's best, if you sign up, you help support the channel and you can cancel at any time. Well, time to start season 7 of this Build a Nation save at Distillery. Some big additions through the door. I've really gone for it due to unexpected circumstances. We've got to try and make it into Europe this year, but can we complete the job? Yes, hello and welcome along to part 52 and the start of season 7 from this Build a Nation story, Lifting Spirits with me, Daniel. We are back with Distillery today for our first game of the 7th season. After 2 years settling into the Irish Premiership, 2 years of European Places playoff heartbreak, and we're looking to go one further. If you're looking forward to seeing if we can, then please do put a thumbs up on the video. Let's go over to the transfer centre. Let's have a look at what's been going on, because there's been upgrades on and off the pitch, and at the moment, I'm fairly optimistic. Let's go and see why. We start on the staffing screen, which is a pretty interesting one for us because we've actually lost 2 really good coaches this year, including arguably our best. 2 of them have gone, but it is the area where we've made most money as well. So about 20 grand comes in. We managed to get 2 replacements too. We start with Lewis Moat, who went early on in the summer. He went to St Mirren to become their reserves manager. A real shame to lose him. Probably someone we're not going to be able to replace like for like at this level. We have managed to get someone decent, so we'll go to them in a minute. The second one who went is Chris McPhee to QPR. Now, he's gone to be an under-18s coach, but whenever England comes calling, it's a level of wage that we just can't compete with. So he's gone there after a season with us. He wasn't a best coach in the world, but he was fairly professional and he was good tactically, which is what we were really missing. So 2 big losses to the football club, 2 coaches moving on to bigger and better things, but we have managed to get 2 in as well. One of them probably a slight upgrade, one maybe a slight downgrade. Let's start with possibly the downgrade, which is Johnny Pollock. He comes in after about 9 years with Glenavon, and he's not quite as good as an actual goalkeeping coach as Lewis Moat, but we were unlikely to find that. But he is very good mentally. He's got a fairly professional personality, great motivator, very determined. He's a solid coach, and at this level, he's still one of the best you'll find. And we found him very quickly, which I'm happy with. The second one also came in quite quickly. This one a bit more on my radar. I had him and one other who was my first choice already shortlisted. And Declan Havey comes in as my coach. Again, his strengths are tactical and technical coaching, something we have missed in the past, and mentally, he's absolutely brilliant. Professional personality, good knowledge of the Republic of Ireland, where we have signed a few players, and happy to join for 275 quid a week. We've got to be pleased with that. So the coaching additions, not bad. Of course, a little bit of a pain to lose some of the others, and it does take our attention away from player transfers. But don't you worry, we've still managed to do alright on that front. Let's go over to the release players first. One has left at the start of this season, and it's maybe a sign of what we've managed to do this summer. Kofi Orkin left on the 1st of July. When his contract expired in May, we kept him on a pay-as-you-play deal for a month. After that, we said he was surplus to requirements. That can only be a good thing, because he was first choice last year, don't forget. Last season, at the end of the year, probably only one senior player that went as well. Darragh Levingston left at the end of his contract. He was out on loan the second half of last year, but had been a key part of our promotions prior to that. Was instrumental in the 3rd tier. Probably one of those few players that came in after that first season that just took us to another stratosphere. So big props to him. There's also a few youngsters going out who did play for us in the early years. So Leon McNichol, Andrew Miller, Colin Robinson, another one. They all featured for the club but didn't really develop. We found it a lot harder this year, players struggling to develop their personalities, and that has become difficult because if they haven't got a good one, you're not really improving them off the pitch, and that could be a quite tricky thing if you've got average attributes, all this potential that's not being utilised, and a lot of players not making it as a result. But some of them did contribute to our successes, so we thank them all, but we move on to the new era. Let's have a look at the players that went in and out properly from the club. And we'll start with the end of last season because, as you can see, 2 additions, including one name that popped up in the season review, 3 players going out at the end of last year, and in this season, 5 in, 5 out. Let's go and reflect on the players that have left and joined the club. And we'll start with the 3 outs from the end of last year. Marty Bell was the first. He's another one of those in the category of not a great personality, didn't improve in the mentoring groups or with football, and in the end, we just had to let him go. He's gone to Ards. I hope he does all right. I just can't see him developing. For the other 2, we need to drop into midfield. Aaron Jarvis is someone we were trying to get rid of in January. He's gone to Newry on a free. Again, you were probably right in the comments. It's one I do have to take a bit of responsibility for. He had a good first half a year or so when he came in, did a really solid job to help keep us up comfortably. And I got a little bit excited, offered him a new deal, and he probably wasn't worthy of it. He also, as a semi-pro, something we've got to bear in mind, he really declined at 30 without football. Now, in probably more professional clubs, and at the top level we've seen the last few years, you don't really have that issue anymore. But here, it definitely was still a problem, so we need to take note of that for the future. The third one that went out at the end of last season, Mark Gallagher, poor personality, low determination, he's not really developing, and now his potential's down as well. We'll go and see how he gets on at another club. He's in the second tier with Institute. We wish him the best. We hope he does well. 5 more outs the second half of the year, and 1 standout name on this page. Leon Boyd left the club for Crusaders. He went on a free on the 10th of July, and while he didn't have the best finish at the club, he was average last year. He was okay the year before that. We have got to remember how important he was in this save. In his history, he joined the club in the first season when we were under a bit of pressure. It was not known whether we were going to make the top half split. We were under pressure for our job a little bit. There were a few murmurings. He came in and he won us a lot of games 1-0. And as a result of that, 1-0 to the Distillery was coined, and 6 goals in 11 games kept us our job, got us the top half, and we were comfortable. After a couple of years away, where he did okay at other clubs in fairness, he was top scorer in the second tier with Ballyclare. He did well for Bangor, albeit not so good. He came back to us, and that first season, he was the difference maker in the save. He came in after a year where, at the second tier level, we were struggling to score. We had everything else in the game, we just couldn't put the ball away. He scored 37 in 38, and we got promoted to the top tier. He was such a crucial part of that team. He then scored 15 when we stayed up, albeit not playing brilliantly and wasting a few chances. But last year, a bit part player, only 4 goals. It was time for him to move on. He's going to a good club. He's got a professional contract, and what a servant. Leon Boyd, you will still be remembered fondly. In addition to him, there's been 3 youngsters out on loan. Thomas Duff is a pretty average one. Rory Steele's got decent ability but not much potential. Adam Metcalf to Welders, we get a few quid for that, so happy enough with him. And Connor O'Neill is the surprise one. He's gone to Loughborough at the age of 17. If you remember, he was the star of the intake the year before last. His potential now has dipped a little bit, but great determination, decent physically, and he's alright in a tackle. He's a good centre half. So I'm hoping he'll develop while he's there because he does seemingly have the character for it. And if he does, he might be a useful top tier player by the time he comes back. We'll wait and see if that pans out or not. But now it's time to move on to the ins. 7 players in total, a lot of good additions and less reliance on loan players than we've ever had before. There's probably still 1 or 2 I'd like to bring in. But overall, this is the strongest squad we've ever had. And we start with the man that we signed blind at the start of the summer. It popped up, if you remember, in our season review episode. There was just a random inbox message where we were linked with Morgan Griffiths from Everton. He was available on a free, his contract was ending. We didn't know anything about him. We had no scout reports, we had no intel on the player, so we just went for it blind. We literally trusted it off an unknown, unsourced media report. And my word, was it a good decision. Look at Morgan Griffiths from Everton. We already had 3 very strong midfielders. Well, now we've got 4. Morgan Griffiths is superb. 3.5-star ability, massive potential, modest wage at this level. And look at the strengths he has as well. Good stamina, good natural fitness, quick and strong. Very good technically, okay mentally. He is a superstar, this kid. At 18 years of age and under 19 Welsh international, the only negative really is that he's not played senior football before. But that is very much going to change quickly here because he is ready to be a prime first teamer. He's probably slightly better than Barry Coffey, and overall he gives us a real creative depth. Really like him, really good signing, and I can't take any credit because we signed him blind. The second edition is perhaps not quite as good on paper, but you've got to bear in mind at the time I signed him there was a bit of panic about. We're talking about a centre-half position where Phil Jeffrey left at the end of his loan, Kofi Hawkin was out of contract, McDowell was wanted and didn't have a contract, and then you've only got Ben Williams left, which, let's be honest, and McGill, but he's not first team level. So I was looking for a second centre-half. We got a few players in on trial. There was no one really interested in a loan either, and this was the best guy available. He's since been replaced. He will be a backup now, but his wage reflects that, and he said he wanted that role. So hopefully he's going to be happy too. But Tom Wilson-Brown is the man to come in. 2.5-star centre-half, massive potential, plays short simple passes, knows his limitations, and he's a solid defender. Not the most composed and probably not the strongest for a big 6'2" lad, but otherwise he's a really solid defender. Got great positioning, which is always important to me. Good in the air, good in the tackle, determined enough. He's just okay, and that's what we need. So he will feature. I was all about adding squad depth anyway, because that's where we got caught out last year. That December and January period, we went 6 without a win. We couldn't get into those European spots, and we couldn't compete with the top side. So adding this little bit of squad depth, having players like him as a backup, I feel gives us a little bit more of a chance. Now on to this year. We've signed 3 free agents and 2 loan players. On paper, the top signing is the one I was happiest with, but it's not been without its problems because Ben Owen has now been here exactly 1 month. He was one of 2 trial centre-halves we brought in. He's superb, you can see it off the bat. It does add a couple of problems though. The first one, and the more trivial one, is the fact that he's left-footed. Now, I don't know what it is in this save, but all we keep finding is left-footed centre-halves. So again, apart from Williams, who was here last year, the rest are all left-footed now. It's a remarkable fact. But Ben Owen is the best without doubt. Very good defender. Slight weakness in terms of positioning. But he's that stopper type. He's a lot quicker than Kofi Hawkin. And he should be a superstar for us. However, there is a problem. Since he joined 1 month ago, despite having a fairly determined personality, despite everything seemingly being okay on the face of it, there must be something very wrong with his hidden attributes. Because Ben Owen has been caught out in nightclubs twice already and has been fined twice in 1 month. Alright, he's saving us wages, he's our highest paid player. If we can get 2 weeks of his wages each month, that's great. But he's not ideal for professionalism. So we might have to rely on Ben Williams a bit more than we thought, and we have put him in the mentoring group now. But a great signing, technically he's brilliant, he is a good centre-half, and he's an upgrade. We've tried to do what we did with centre midfield last year, but do that as centre-half and other areas. Has it worked out? Well, you can judge after the next 4. Alex Friel was a little bit of a wild card signing. He comes in on loan from Sligo Rovers. Now, he's not a brilliant player, but he's got some brilliant attributes. And given the fact that it was a no contribution loan, he's out of contract in December, and then we can make a long-term decision. I felt like we had to give it a go. And you'll see what I mean when we have a look at him, because he is a brilliant poacher, great finisher, good first touch technique. He's got everything you need on that front. He's 6 foot, he's okay in the air. Mentally, he's fantastic. He's great off the ball, composed, anticipation, the lot. His acceleration, good, solid. How can you have such good acceleration and not have a top speed at all? It does seem really weird. He's also at 6 foot, not great jumping or strength. So maybe that's where he's a little bit weaker. But he scored a few goals in the Republic of Ireland. He's played for today's opponent's Dergview. I just feel if we can play the right way to him and his off-the-ball movement is right, he will get chances at this level. You can see he likes to beat the offside trap. If he can do it, if he can get himself time to finish, you trust him with his finishing and composure. So potentially this is a very clever addition. I don't know if it's going to work out, but it's an option and it's no risk because we're not paying anything. So a really good one there. The third one is a target I've had my eyes on for a while. Sean Moore, at the moment, one of the hottest prospects in Northern Irish football, did dive for a free kick on Friday night in a game I watched in real life, but he is causing trouble everywhere. He's a brilliant player, and Sean Moore here has been at Linfield after a great spell with Bangor. He is really good. He's a solid finisher. He's got a good jumping reach at 6'4", solid physically again. We got to this stage of pre-season and we needed a left winger, a right winger and a striker. And this guy pretty competently fitted 2 of the bills. So I felt like we had to bring him in. former under-19 international, really solid squad player for Linfield, and he'll be a slightly higher status of squad player here. So at that point, I think we were fairly happy with our summer. We laid the foundations, we put the cake in the oven. Well, now we've got it out and iced it. All we need now is the little cherry on the top, because the 2 additions that we bought in this week are very good. Firstly, it was just an opportunity that presented itself. You remember last year when Curtis Bell didn't play, when he was away on international duty, tired, whatever, we really struggled. Shay Lucas couldn't cope. Well, Michael Hammond is a left back, and he's very good. He has 3.5-star ability. He's on loan from Derry City with no contribution. He's actually got a very similar attribute profile, which is interesting. Curtis Bell is one of many players who, at the end of last season, said he wanted to end his contract. He was going to consider his options. Him, Whitehall, players of that ilk. And we just needed to make sure we had ready-made replacements. If this guy does well, I like to keep him. What a player he is. No real noticeable quality difference as well. And that is what we've been working on this summer. Michael Hammond at 18, he might even end up being the better player of the 2. The last one is just a brilliant signing. We were looking for a right winger all summer. We'd had some disappointments. We'd had some unrealistic wage demands from players. But Jaffet Mpardi is a real talent. He's another one of those that's played no senior football. He's 22 now though and has been a youth international. 4-star ability right winger. And if you look at the pattern of player we were looking for, there's a couple of things that spring to mind here. Simplicity of just being very good in his set role. We've mentioned that with a couple of other players, Wilson Brown being one. He is just a good winger. Good crosser, good dribbler, good technique, good flair and decision making, and just gets to the byline and puts it in. He also has the physical profile. Yes, he's not the tallest or the strongest, but you don't need that necessarily. He is naturally fit. He's got stamina, he's quick, he's agile, he's got the lot. So as a right winger, eventually he'll become first choice. And overall, if you look at the summer transfer window, I feel we've upgraded massively. There's still probably one glaring weakness in the squad, which is right back. We've got Daniel Dobbins still. Ben Williams can cover there. But our backup at the moment officially is still Daniel McGill. The rest of it though, I'm really pleased with. There's still 1 or 2 players where there's interest sniffing around them. And they are players that have generally said, look, we're not going to renew our contract. So they are people we might have to consider selling. It might yet be a painful end to the window. But as it stands at the moment, I'm incredibly optimistic. Now let's go and have a look at the schedule. See where the media expect us to be. If we have a look at the the season preview, we are expected to finish 5th. So rather crucially, the media actually think we're the best of that 3-team group now. Ballymena and Cliftonville expected to be below us. They've actually put us level with Glentoran, who did win the European playoff last year. So that is a real sign that we can compete now. And rather than looking down at 6th and 7th, can we hold on to that spot? Can we get up to 5th for the first time? We're now going to be saying, can we compete with Glentoran for 4th? I hope so. So let's go and get into our first game of the season. Dergview are the opponents. Last time they were in this league, they finished bottom. They are again favourites to finish bottom. A win here is crucial to keep the optimism up. I started so optimistic for this season. Just don't let it go away after one game. They've got Brad Lyons, that's a decent player. Dougie Wilson's in there as well. And Kai McCormick, a former loan player from Glenfield. That was back in the 2nd or 3rd tier. Let's go and pick our team. I'm going to keep it fairly familiar at the start. You know my drill by now. We'll be back in a minute to run through the 11. Well, here is our lineup for the first day of the league season, and it's fairly familiar to most of you. Only 2 of the new additions come in from the start today. That is Owen at left centre half and Moore on the left wing, though that is enforced. The rest of them all on the bench though, so we could have 5 substitutes making their debut. The team, I've gone for familiarity. I always try and ease them in for the sake of team cohesion. The only man who misses out really today is Lewis Scott. He failed a fitness test after a few weeks out injured. That's why Moore starts. Overall though, a very solid 11. Most of it you know pretty well by now. It's Ethan Ross in goal, Dobbin and Bell the fullbacks with Ben Owen joining Ben Williams at centre half. Whitehall and Daniel still the midfield too. Lots of interest in both of them. I'm not sure they'll be here at the end of the summer. Then Latifa and Barry Coffey join new signing Moore in attacking midfield. Both of the old boys probably fighting for their spots in the starting 11 now. And then Muckle Hatton up front. Lots of goals last year. And this season, he's not going to be able to complain about the service. So let's go and get into it. It's Dergview v Distillery. And really, with our optimism, with the standard of our squad now, there's no excuses for not winning this. Well, into the first game of the season, we've mentioned most of the familiar names and Kai McCormick, the former player, but let's go and prove that we're favourites for a reason, leave them in no doubt as to why. A couple inspired and motivated, most of them confident though. So into the first half we go. No worries about having to be cautious against these sides now. I'm confident we can go and get on the front foot. We're back with less than 5 minutes on the clock and we are on the front foot here with a Curtis Bell throw-in. Plays a 1-2 with the new signing Moore and back to Daniels. Owen chips over the top, the new centre-half to McElhatton. Oh, poor defending. I was about to say good defending. Then he poured it down and just didn't clear it. McElhatton nicks in. We know from last season, he might not do the most in open play, but if you give him a chance, he'll score. Great ball over the top from Owen. He's not credited with the assist, but it caused trouble. It got it in the right area, and McElhatton finishes comfortably. The perfect start. As Whitehall wins a header to McElhatton. Latifah on the right. Acres of space to run into. No one closing him down. Crosses for McElhatton again. Oh, it's been a lovely start. 13 minutes gone. 2 goals for McElhatton. 2 goals for Distillery. And we said this before. With better service, he has no excuse. And as we come up to half-time, it's been exactly what we wanted since then. A quiet game, no threat from Dergview. I don't know whether it's them not improving since last time they came up or whether we're just a very good side. Maybe a combination of the two. But going into the season, I knew that we had to start well to be optimistic, and I feel we're going to do that. So here come Distillery on the counter again. Moore clears it away after Dergview got forward. Owen heads away this time too, and Moore picks it up to Barry Coffey. He's fighting for his position now that Griffiths has joined, and he's lost the ball in the middle there to Dougie Owen. Mullen goes long over the top. Bell brings it down, hoofs downfield. Another one of these long highlights without anything key yet, though Lavery puts in Anderson, and the deficit has been halved. Just like that, we've let them back in the game. Really poor defending, no composure despite the shorter passing plan. And at the moment, with 10 minutes gone in the second half, Dergview, 1 shot, 1 goal. So we are at the other end with the corner, as I was just about to make changes there. Into the back post to Ben Owen. It's a debut goal for the centre-half. You can go clubbing if you do that every match. 3-1, the 2-goal lead is restored. And now we're going to go and make changes. So if it's possible today, the way it works out, I'd like to bring on all 5 debutants. We'll see if that's possible or not. We're going to start by bringing Morgan Griffiths on for Barry Coffey. I'm also going to take off Sean Moore for fellow Newboy and Pardee. He's going to play off the left wing as an inverted winger. Not his traditional position, but we'll give it a go. 65 gone with 3-1 up. Let's not get too hasty. Let's get the job done. 2 changes made. We'll come back in a moment. And now with 15 to go and no further threat, we'll look at doing a little bit more. We'll take off Curtis Bell for Michael Hammond. Wilson Brown on, maybe for Dobbin actually. In fact, I'm going to do it for Ben Owen because he's not had a brilliant start to the game. And then we've got one more change. Alex Friel will come on. Latifah off and Pardee to his natural side. Or in fact, let's put Friel through the middle. Let's put McElhatton on the right. Keep and Pardee on the left. With 15 to go, with 3-1 up. Now let's go and make this a real win to remember. Into 4 minutes of stoppage time, the game has just sort of petered out, but we couldn't have asked for more than that. A really comfortable start to the season, 2 goals for McElhatton, a debut goal for Ben Owen, and 7 debutants all got on the field. Brilliant to see all the summer signings in action, great to start with a win. Let's go and have a look at the schedule for when we're going to be back, because at the moment, I'm still very optimistic. Well, after a very good start to the season, it is going to be cup action next time by the looks of it. We've got Linfield in between the legs of their European playoff again, so hopefully that weighs out in our benefit. But after them and Ballymena, a pretty tough finish to the month. We've got a cup game in the League Cup and in the Antrim Shield. We are going to show deadline day and whichever one of those games is biggest. So we'll wait for the draw in the other cup and make our decision there. But if you did enjoy the start to the season, a good performance and lots of transfers, then please do put a thumbs up on it. Let me know in the comments what you think of the transfer window. Do you think we've improved as much as I think we have? And do you think we've got a chance at being best of the rest in 4th or 5th? If you want to stay up to date and find out, then subscribe and turn that notification bell on. We'll be here every 2 days in between our episodes of The Head Coach. And talking of that series, tomorrow we've got a Director of Football-led transfer deadline day. So I hope you'll come and join me for that. I'll put the start of the new season from yesterday above my head now. And I'll see you back here next time for deadline day in Northern Ireland. But will we lose any of our stars?